G'day, guys. This is Jay here from Australia, and we got koalas, kangaroos, as I know. I always say that, but mate, the last couple of times I've had some great Australians on this channel, and this is why I do the interviews. I got the great Jody Lowe all the way from central Queensland, which is basically I'm in Melbourne, which is I always call it a crap hole anyway because we got Dan Andrews who was a premier. There's some clickbait, ladies and gentlemen. And then we've got the great man up here in Queensland, sunny Queensland. You've probably seen it on a lot of our touristy type advertising. But why I got this man on here, I found him on TikTok, and man, I'm so impressed about the way he comes about with his what's happening in the world. And he's just a straight out Aussie that tells it how it is. And I had to reach out. And thank you so much for accepting me. You don't know me from a bar of soap, which I mean, I could be anyone, but I really appreciate you coming on the show, Joe. Thanks very much.
No problem. So I love talking, and I'll talk to anybody whether it's on a show or not. So if we make a connection, that's what I do.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So let's cut the bullshit, as I say, and get to it. Why I got you on this program, because we have very similar views in a lot of ways, and I call it not the woke, but the awakened, as we call it in our with our community that I'm in, and it's the awakened to see what's really happening. And one that got me, I think, Joe, was if you don't mind me calling me Jody. Jody, is that okay? Yeah, no problem.
Call me whatever you want, mate. Just don't call me Sunday.
Yeah, nah, it's all be positive, man. Opinions of what's happening in the world, mate, and I think the big thing. I'll start this one, and I know you're into it. The digital ID that we've got in Australia, the bill was passed very shiftily by the Labor government. We know that. Don't like this bloke, let's be honest. And I'm quite happy to say it. Let's start with that. And do you want to give us a little bit of a background, mate, of just so the viewers get to know you, mate, so we can follow you and go and know what the legend that you are.
Yeah, you got the wrong low for starters with the legend. My grandfather was a legend. He picked up a gun and left his country to fight for it. That's a legend, mate. I'm just a bloke with a microphone.
There you go. Exactly, mate. Good call. Good call.
Yeah, but look, this microphone is the thing that I want to yield to the best of our ability to make sure that none of us actually have to do that again, because we're close, And yeah, so I don't know. Like I had a pretty bad run with mental health. I'd had a perfect sort of I had a shit life up until probably 16, 17-year-old, pretty rough. Got better till about 30. Had a really smashing run. Was quite the little entrepreneur. And then lost it all about in 4 years. I lost sort of everything through relationships and lots of money and me businesses and access to me kids. And I went through a pretty shit sort of 10, 11 years trying to sort of fight mental health that I didn't quite understand, because I was a pretty sort of bloke alpha underground coal miner, footy captain, sort of lived in a small town. I've been there for 18 years. Everyone knew me, and I had nothing behind me. You know what I mean? I come from nothing, and I had sort of got to something, and I was like, that's pretty that's pretty exciting to get to where I got to. I'm just going to try and turn this thing off because
that's all right, mate. No worries.
But yeah, this it had just got to the point where it was out of control, and I couldn't sort of deal with my shit. And it was going to break me, but I was very successful at what I was doing. I was a high functioning anxiety freak, but geez, I wasn't very fun to work with. I had a sort of lead, follow, or get out of my road sort of attitude, which made me extremely good at my job, but probably not that fun for the people that got it wrong. And anyway, so I was on my mental health journey, and I was looking into what was going on with mental health, and I couldn't work out why my brain would be the way it is and thinking the way it is. And I got sort of started doing some homework, and I went down the rabbit hole of big business buying out big science in the 70s with the sugar versus fat sort of arguments.
Yep.
And I started. The more I started to sort of peel back the layers, the more I realised, what a crock of shit it was. And I had some massive records where I was in the mining industries for safety. My teams were, led well. 700 days without serious injuries and stuff like that. So you would expect that.
Oh, amazing, mate! That's amazing. That's great.
yeah, you'd expect that would be heralded, but because of the way the management that I used to squash that got in my road, it was not sort of they liked it, but they didn't like me. So when the time came for the mandates to come through, I was sort of deep in the rabbit hole doing my thing. I had started building a mental health company to. I had three older girls and one younger girl, daughters, and I had started doing online videos, sort of documenting my journey as I built my mental health site, but documenting my journey so that other people could draw parallels from my story. And it was definitely helping a lot of people in the mining industry. I had 3 or 4 projects that I was running with the mining companies for free, and then I started building my own. I rolled out what I think is one of the greatest apps in history, which was about getting outside, having fun in the sun with your friends and your family, together in short sporting activities, just pretty much perfectly in the same time that Fauci was running around saying, get inside, get away from people, don't let the sunlight touch your skin. You can take away alcohol and go to the pharmaceutical places and get inside your home and lock down and cover up with 18 masks. So you couldn't have picked the worst time to roll that out. So
Oh, well.
I just got lucky for like I was. It's not that I was impressionable, but I definitely was in the matrix system. I was a capitalist atheist who, probably only would believe that anybody would take the piss out of you because of the mental health issues that I'd had and reading up on it. Like otherwise, I would have been, a four jabber, just play on along, sort of going, "Oh, shut up, you whingers," and I probably would have been screaming cooker to all the same people that screamed it at me, So yeah, I got lucky. I was listening to Joe Rogan when John Abramson came onto the show, and he talked about being one of the lead litigators over the past 10, 15 years, medical lead litigators for big pharma cases, and that two of the biggest criminal fines in history were delivered to pharmaceutical companies. And I was like,
was he working for the pharmaceutical or against them?
Against them.
Okay.
Yeah. And so Vioxx was the one that he brought forward that brought my most attention that I did the research on. I think they ended up settling out of court for $2.1 billion or something like that. But they sold $12 billion worth of Vioxx to get a $2.1 billion settlement. And the reason why they settled was because they had killed 40,000 people by the time they got it off the market. And the only reason it was winnable, I guess, is because the condition of the Vioxx was killing them all in the same way. Whereas what you might be seeing in the world at the moment is lots of different ways to die. So it's been made difficult for what's going on in the world. So fast forward a little bit, I get a bit angry because they mandate against me. I lose my job. I move to another mine. I lose my job there after 4 months because they mandate against me there. They offered me an exemption, and I asked them, I said, sweet, is everybody getting an exemption, including the cleaners? And they said, no. And I said, well, I'll be on my way. Thank you very much. And they said, what do you mean? And I said, well, there's no better or worse part of the team. I'm an Australian, and my mum was a cleaner for 35 years. They wipe the asses of these places. And if you think that I'll take a job, over the top of having them mandated to send them off site, you're wrong. And I left. 3 months later, they dropped the mandates and they got me back. And yeah, I've been on the sort of slowly but surely just growing my awareness to what the stories were, just keeping every page open. Luckily for me, I was a blank slate when it comes to indoctrination, either through the schooling system. Didn't really get it. Didn't come up with a religious family or anything along those lines. So I never really had any suggestions in my head to sort of stick to that narrative. So it really played in my favor to have a blank slate and have a limited understanding of pretty much everything. So yeah, now I've been building the outside of the picture, puzzle piece by puzzle piece as I go.
Yep.
Every time I meet a new person, every time I have a new connection, every time I find a new piece of the puzzle, I slot it in there, and I sort of try and stay back as far as I can to make sure that I'm not missing anything that's bigger than what we sort of run around and get stuck on.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's exactly where we're at with a lot of people, especially on our channel. We get a lot of people who talk about what's going on, and we don't see what's happening in other countries, but they don't see what's happening here either, mate. And having friends overseas, they ask what's going on. I ask people, so Can I ask you straight up? What was one thing at the moment? We talked about the digital ID bill, which was passed
Yep.
by the Senate, went through the Senate, I think, a couple of days ago.
Yep.
Let's start with that. Let's start with that. So we're talking about control here, mate. We damn well
But
know what's going on.
yeah, well, it's stuck in the bottom. It's stuck in the lower house at the moment, so it actually hasn't been passed right through yet. So they
Okay.
pulled the brakes on it.
Okay.
It flew through the Senate upper house, but they jammed on the brakes in the lower house because they've been copping an absolute flogging about it, which is good. These people take their orders from 4 or 5 people above the people that we know the names of. And anything that they do on the run, they fuck it up. Excuse my French, but
No, just swear, mate. It's all good. All good.
yeah, no, it's not my go unless I'm underground. But
That's all right.
yeah, they yeah, so they're just sort of at the moment. Look, the real problem with what we've got here at the moment is that this plan has been laid out for a very, very long time. We know that it's the formation of the new world order, and everything other than that is a distraction. It all plays a part in testing whether how far asleep we are. But they all are just straws. Straws on the camel's back, and unfortunately, a ton of straw still weighs a ton. And this is what I say all the time: is that it's very difficult for people to really understand. If you have a ton of rock on your back, you can see that. Everybody else can see it. People can get a handle on grabbing it to help you get it off you. But when you have a ton of straw, which is what they're doing with us, one drop at a time, carbon credit score, the 15-minute cities, the CBDCs, the central bank digital currencies, the World Health Organization pandemic preparedness treaty, the UN's land grabs through the voice constitutions changes and stuff like that. These are all just straws, and individually they don't seem like that big of a deal. We feel like crazy. We're told we're crazy cooker conspiracists,
Yep.
And they do that deliberately because they want to keep us divided on every single level that we can. So for 2 reasons: one, so we never stand together, and 2, so we never actually look inside us and start the journey of self-healing. Because once you start the journey of self-healing and start realizing that everything is trauma, and trauma causes triggerability, and triggerability is how they control us through fear, anger, revenge, ego. It's one of the easiest tools to
ego and power, mate. Oh, let's talk about that. I've got my Aussie affirmation cards here. I wrote a pack of cards when I went through my time, and I've written some messages that came to me. Pardon me. When I was going through that time, and it gave me some. And one thing I wrote about, and I've always been a big advocate for it, is give someone ego and power and watch the fuckery begin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as simple as that. I think it's as simple as that, isn't it, mate? Like, I mean, yourself.
It is. If you add a bit of virtue in there, look out. If you add a little bit of you're the hero of the story in there, you're out. You look out, because a virtuous, ego-driven hero in his own story will absolutely slaughter anybody that gets in their road for the greater good. In the name of, that sort of mentality.
Like, they're in the name of themselves. Let's be honest there, Jody. They're out there.
For sure.
It's like, the education system. I'm in that at the moment. And I'll tell you what, it's a fucking joke. It really is. It's an absolute joke. Look, put it this way. You get some, this, and my opinion is, they're not even teaching times tables properly. Let's be honest, okay? They're teaching you relevant stuff, or some smart ass in the, smart ass above. It's not the teacher's fault. The teachers are doing a great job. All right.
Yep.
Except for the people who want to get out of classrooms and try and get a cushy job on a couch. Trust me, it happens. But majority of teachers, man, they work hard, Anyway, you get some smart ass up there going, oh, this is the way people should be teaching, or this is the method they should be teaching. It means absolutely jack shit. It confuses them all. It confuses them. So I've seen that, especially in mathematics. I'm a PE teacher, but I'm teaching a few other classes, and I'm looking going, no, this is bullshit, mate. Hang on. And this is being awake, mate. What you've been talking about. You go, you're fucking complicating this shit, mate. Fucking, it's not real life, but you need to know it and understand it. But the way they do it, it's like be all and end all, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I've got 2 of my best mates are teachers, and they're young teachers up in Townsville area. So one's a PE teacher that pretends to do a little bit of other teaching too, but I know that he just goes to the gym and cranks out the weights. He yeah, but they're the same. They're hard working, diligent people. They can see the change. They're just completely asleep. The world hasn't affected them in any way yet. You know what I mean? Like they just lined up, got the bump, and move on with their life, which is sad. But the children, like I've pulled me. My eldest girl went through school, got bullied out by grade 11. She left. She was bullied out of the system. My middle girl was like me. She doesn't learn that way. She had no interest in it. She just complete and utter waste of 12 years for her social event.
Yep.
The youngest girl did really well. She went through. She was, the youngest of my older girls. She went through acing it, A's and B's, and really cared about it. And I said, look, couldn't give a shit about the A's and B's, but it's about the attitude. And everything says that you've got a great attitude. You're helpful with that. You're not gloating or skiting about how good you are. So that means more to me. I've hired and fired thousands of people in my mining career, and not once have I ever seen at any age anything that has ever said, what does your school report say? Ever. So I said to her, it's always been about attitude, and it's always been about, if you had a job at Macca's, I'd bring the person from Macca's. I wouldn't care less if you had straight A's. Anyway, and I said, look, these days, realistically, all the good education is getting you the pathway to go and get more indoctrinated into some more education, into one of their universities. I said, it doesn't actually lead to a better job or a better pay rate these days. I said, that's a fallacy that, a piece of paper on the wall is going to lead to success in it.
Well, you watch some of these videos, Jody, on the thing. You see a lot on TikTok, and they talk about the way that that Mr. Rockefeller, apparently, the word has it, or a couple of videos said the word has it that he's the one who basically wrote up the way that people should be learned, not to actually make money, but to be employees. And because there's some great people like doctors, fantastic teachers. I mean, we all got our own. Look, every person who does a job has importance, but I'm just doing a couple that I've been in. With look at nurses, teachers, fireys, police officers, ambos.
Yeah.
Right, especially in the lovely state of Victoria, mate. They are fucking screwed, man.
This is the straw scenario. So we go back 4 years and we mandate against our teachers and our firemen, our police officers, and our doctors and our nurses. Right, so five of the most important things critical to this country, like you wouldn't believe. They are also form foundational pillars for the Western democratic, Christian-based society that we are.
Yeah.
So you take mandates against them where you take 20 or 30% of the people away from those jobs, right? You keep them out of the game, and then you put 70% under the pressure of what we've just been through for the 4 years, and you burn them out. And then you go and say to everybody that we're completely running low in all these fields. We're missing police officers everywhere. We're missing nurses everywhere. They're turning away like in droves because they're burnt out from filling the gap of this incompetent leadership team. And so now what do is in the time of a cost of housing and cost of living crisis and inflation still up and 17 interest rate rises in 20 months. It's about 24 months now, 17.25% interest rate rises. We pumped over 800,000 immigrants into the country because we're under the guise of we are using recognised prior learning, RPL, to get these people fast-tracked into our schools, hospitals, and all of
and
these
half of them aren't even, mate, they're not competent. They're not competent in the thing. I mean, the way that they do this, but they can't cope in this situation because they've got no idea. The RPLs, mate, that only if it suits them. I mean, back in the day, it was hard to get a recognition of prior learning, and your real life experience. I mean, you sit in I remember a quote when I was watching the show Cocktail. If you know it from with Tom Cruise, he's sitting in a university setting, and his question was, the university lecturer had a crack at him about his business. He goes, and why should I take advice from someone who hides in here and doesn't know about the real world?
Yeah,
that fucking quote, mate. It's a huge quote, isn't it? I mean, when you think about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the doctors is that who's writing the books. So when you see the influence of big pharma into the back end of our university systems, and you see who's writing the books with the studies, I mean, you can't write the book away from the anatomy of the human body. This is the heart, this is the lungs, this is the kidneys. But when you start writing books that only educate people how to treat symptoms and not actually not even allowed to patient care for fear of suspension is what we've seen in the last 4 years. And now, as you slowly see that, the monoclonal antibodies, the hydroxychloroquine, the, ivermectin things start slipping back in as, okay to use again. And those doctors that still are suspended or in court finally getting dropped off or let back out or, giving their licenses back and stuff like that, just quietly sort of released after all that traumatic time for, 2-3 years saying that they were, using malpractice and that sort of stuff. Man, you've only got to listen to the way they treated some of the nurses in the Red Union the secretary that spoke in the terms of reference the other day for the COVID Royal Inquiry.
I saw that up in Queensland. That's a huge win, isn't it?
Yeah, but no, this is the term of reference that was about 6 or 7 hours long, where they put forward the terms of reference for if and when we get a COVID Royal Inquiry, to make sure that the government doesn't just say, oh yeah, we'll do a Royal Inquiry. What did we look at over here? Yeah, right. Masks weren't that good, but we did a great job with this, and fluff themselves up and move forward. So we wanted to make sure that it absolutely goes into every single detail that we got wrong, including this country is now sitting at just over $1.4 trillion worth of national debt. That's state and federal combined, 1.4 trillion. During the story that I got, or the facts that I could find, is during the global financial crisis, this country put a debt ceiling of 700 billion on itself. And we are over double that at the moment. And everybody's saying, good job with COVID. You know what I mean? Great job. Handled it well. 6% on 6% inflation, supposedly. I'll give you an example. 2 days ago, the stamps in our country went from $1.20 to $1.50. That's a 25% increase in 1 day. And and everyone goes, oh, stamps, big deal. But, if you look at your fuel, fuel was sitting down around $1.10, $1.15 in 2020. Now it's sitting up around $2. Does that sound like 6% on 6%? Food.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a rule.
Like we could do it all. We could do it all day. Look at our power. Like we pumped out, 700 million or something like that. 70 million or 700 million, I think it was, tons of thermal coal last year. We exported it. And that's the same. The amount that we exported is also the same amount that we used in the country to create our electricity. But the only difference was that 83% of the country's commodities and resources are now owned by international entities. So, we are raping and pillaging the resources out of our country because there's a boom on somewhere else. But we haven't even got the decency to reduce the power price for our own country. We've got the coal, and our power is dear as shit, and rising rapidly, while we're allowing foreigners to smash all that profit overseas.
Well, what happened over under the government before Kevin Rudd got in? How much were these companies paying in tax when they took our land, took our resources?
Yeah, I went and had a meeting with my federal member the other day, so I don't know the answer to the question, but I'll tell you what I understand. The federal member for Flynn, where I am up here in Queensland, said to me the other day that the problem with our system is that we charge too much tax on our corporate entities, but we've allowed shell companies to come into the country. So our big businesses that would be positioned here paying a fixed 20% tax. If we would allow 20% tax or 15% tax instead of 30, we say 30% tax for the companies, and they say no worries, and they use the other loopholes deliberately. The government knows what they're doing, and they go over to Singapore, set up head office over there. Companies that's paid 2% tax or something over there, and then they put their little shell companies, their little operating companies here on shore. All the money flows back over there, and that's where the tax, that's where the tax is paid. So they pay some royalties here. But the real tax money is over there where they're paying 2%. So he's saying that you'd be better off reducing it to 20% tax rate and closing the loopholes from getting offshore. He said, but go out and tell anybody in Australia that businesses need to pay less tax. And he said, and watch them spear you and put you up on the pike. And I'm like, I said, all you got to do is show them the legislation, mate. Your job is not to show them your opinion. Your job is to show them the legislation where the loophole is and say, this is the legislation. This is an example of what the loophole looks like for, BHP, all of these different companies. And I said, and educate people, mate. The information is all people need to make their own informed decision. I said, so far you give the information to about here as the government. Big business start taking profit from about here. And the gap that we find in the middle is where conspiracy theories go nuts. And we make up whatever we want to do to fill that gap. Some of it's true, some of it's not. But at the end of the day, it's all dismissible because it's too big of a jump for the average person's brain to think from here to here. So, they just want, this is everything I've been told is enough information here and stop thinking about it.
Right.
Or let's look at our annual reports of this, the ANZ, who's quite comfortably made $7.4 billion profit last year in a year where we had a cost of living crisis and eight interest rate rises. How did their profit go up, and how do they make $7 billion on the backs of Australian people?
$32 billion, mate. The banks were making it $32 billion. And my thing is, inflation, pig's ass. Have a look at what the banks are doing. Look at the corporate profits of fucking Coles and Woolies, mate. There's and Pauline Hanson. I'm not sure what your opinion of her, but I watch a bit of her stuff. She does a lot of stuff on TikTok, mate. She's fighting for us so much. It's not funny,
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure you've seen a lot of her on your channel.
Yeah. I don't watch a lot of anybody, to tell you the truth. I take my information in sort of long form, historic form datas. I do get a bit, but I'm a sci-fi buff, and I'm I love books, stories, sci-fis, and so I've watched every movie ever made, and now I realise that makes me the actual guru at understanding what's going on, because they've told us the entire way through this, as they have to. My understanding for universal law is that they have a karmic debt to pay if they do not tell you what they're doing, and if you do not remove your consent. So if whatever you watch, if you do not say I do not consent to that, at the end of that thing, you have just given silence is consent, and that's true in the physical and in the in the
spiritual world. Yeah. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It's exactly right, Margo. As I said, music to my ears. It's like they and once you become awakened to things, I think once you do your work on yourself and you have your lessons, mate, you cannot not see what the hell's going. Go, what the hell? And you can see. I think the way I describe it as, and this could come across as egotistical, but it's not. It's a case you're raising your frequency and vibration. You're sort of looking upon the world. Have you played the game The Sims?
Yeah, well, very, very sparingly, yeah.
But that's what you get where I'm going then. You know exactly what I'm saying. It looks like the bloody Sims out there.
Yeah. Well, that's what they want. This is a matrix. This is a controlled matrix. However that word plays out in your mind, some people can allow themselves to take a movie version of it and adapt it to the fact that that they're controlled. Their control and their energy is actually 3D, physically doing stuff, making stuff, and they think that's what the energy is. Other people can actually understand what we mean when we say, from a soul and an energetic sort of a point of view, that the energy and the frequency of this planet is controllable, and that's more what we mean when we talk about the higher level people that are there. And everybody's got their own story, from whatever book they've read, be it the Sumatrans, be it the Bible, be it the Thoth and the Emerald Tablets, wherever you want to go. There is every single story still talks about some sort of greater level of beings that have continuously ruled us, fucked with us, probably spliced us at different times in the world, because I still don't believe that you could be born of this planet if you believe in there's two things that we're allowed to believe in, and that is biblical creation, pure divine creation, or evolution. All right, so I say that to both of those, walk out in the sun with your shirt off in Queensland for half an hour and see how long you last. Like 3 million years of evolution or a divine creation with the sun in our solar system, all of that time does not make sense to me. That the cancer-ridden bodies that we have because the sun burns the shit out of us would make any sense. Every other animal, every other thing that comes from an area, certainly is never. You imagine, having a bald, finding a bald polar bear. You know what I mean? Like sitting up there freezing its tits off and just going, oh fuck, Jesus, man, it's cold up here. Well, that's something that I believe was evolved or built for that area, not the rest. So that's a bit cuckoo for you.
No, not really, man. No, I'm open to it. I'm open to absolutely everything. I sit there and go, yep. It's like they say about the Simpsons, the predictions of the Simpsons. Have you seen those videos on TikTok?
Yeah.
I go, interesting. We're not wrong. You can't be like, as I said to you, like what interests me with why I asked you to come. Now we've got 5 minutes to go. We'll do another interview after this.
Yep.
I'll give you another link anyway, and we'll do it because we'll do it in 2 parts. What are you reckoning about the way coming out of the time we had? Where do you think it's gone now? Because I think that, you look at, I give a shit. I reckon politicians cash in their they get paid $500,000 to govern us, not rule us.
Yeah.
But we're the most overtaxed bloody nation on the planet, mate. I go, right, and the first question I go, rightio, I'm paying all this tax, which is fine. Where's it all going? Or it's going in either the back pocket of the elite, which I don't like calling them the elite, but that's what it is.
Deletes have been called. Everyone's been calling them the deletes.
Yeah, well, I'll call them another name. Let's say the assholes. Anyway, so it goes back to that. So they're making so much money off what they're off all of us. We're sitting there going, everyone's just going, oh yeah, whatever. But when you start waking up and go, what the hell has this country really done? We're paying more tax. Things are higher, and they're saying it's because of inflation. I reckon inflation is absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
It is. It's bullshit. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Because of all it is all the big companies getting richer, and we're forking out more for them.
Well, in fact, the inflation that we see is the devaluing of our dollar, not things getting dearer. So they're printing money, and when they print money, they put more money into the circulation when there's no more manufacturing for it. Our dollar is not backed by anything. It's a fiat currency, and it is only backed purely since 1973 by the ability of the taxpayer through our birth certificates. So whenever we have times where we don't have the manufacturing anymore in this country to ramp up production and manufacturing, we see big inrushes of immigration, because every immigrant that comes through that has a birth certificate lodged onto the stock exchange for the Commonwealth of Australia, which is what we are now. We're a corporation, not a country, right? That backing gives more the right for them to print more money. You know what I mean? So they know what they're doing. This 800,000 that's coming in, it will work out where we put a house over them later, because we need to be able to keep printing money out the back to keep this under control. Because the moment they stop printing money, they love inflation because they're debt. They're heavily debt, so they love that inflation just going up because it's chewing away their debt, but they do it at our expense.
Yeah.
So it's a devaluing of a dollar.
Well explained, mate. What can I say? We're going to wind up part 1, mate. This is bloody awesome. It's really good. Yeah. I'm so glad you could come on and have a bit of a chat. We'll go into part 2, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to have a drink or someone, have a quick, freshen up, whatever it may be. We'll be back with part 2 in a couple of minutes' time. And if you want to get hold, Joe, do you want to tell us where they can find you if they want to have a chat to you?
You can find me on Facebook and under Jody Lowe, Jody Lowe Lowe, or you can find me on pretty much every single platform under Aussie AUSSIE Fight Back Club. Now you can see on this thing here, it's just because of Zoom, it's pre-populated for Average AF. That's my mental health company. You can also find me on different channels on the Average AF stuff if you have any information that you want to know about the mental health stuff that I do, the apps and the videos and the website for self-help.
We might have to have a chat. I think we're going to have a chat, but we can start plugging that in part 2 because I'd like to know a little bit more about it. That'd be awesome. We'll be back right after this break, they say on TV. So we'll see you soon, ladies and gentlemen. Part 2 with the great Jody Lowe from Queensland, Australia. We'll catch you soon.